I know this shoe is actually called the Blue OAT YEEZY, but Bloarf is very fitting. What's up everybody, I'm Seth Fowler, and today I'm reviewing the upcoming Adidas YEEZY Boost 380 Blue OAT. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't yet. Also make sure to give me a follow on Instagram and on Twitter at RealSethFowler. But today we are looking at a shoe which I've been, I guess not so much anticipating as I've been dreading coming out, called the YEEZY Boost 380 Blue OAT. The non-reflective 380 Blue OAT releases on July 25th for a retail price of $230. The reflective version, while I'm sure there is one somewhere in the pipeline, doesn't seem to have a release date as of yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if it dropped around the same time. When leaks of this shoe first came out, people were surprised, to say the least. And it was also thought that the name of this shoe was Bloarf, but it actually turns out that that's short for Blue OAT Reflective. But to be 100% real with you, this shoe does look like it would be called Bloarf. Like the sound that you make when you're throwing up, because this kind of looks like what that looks like. Granted, the leaks looked a lot worse than the shoe actually looks in person, but it's still not a colorway that I'd ever really consider wearing. Last year, I was always complaining about there never being any new Yeezys and how the colorways were boring and similar, but this year that is definitely not the case. In fact, it's the exact opposite. We've been getting a ton of new silhouettes, we've been getting a ton of new colorways, and it's gotten to a point now where some of the colorways are like, man, I wish they just kept this in the vault and just never dropped it. The YEEZY 380 Blue OAT is unique, to say the least. It is an interesting colorway made up of browns, oranges, and blues. Not really a color combination that I would have put together, but hey, I'm not running a $1 billion brand, so I have no room to speak. I just don't really see how you can wear this shoe. I can't think of anything that I own that would actually go with this sneaker. Not that everything has to match, but even if it doesn't, like, I don't know, I just can't get behind this shoe. So I guess I should probably stop hating on the colorway and jump into the sneaker and find out what materials make up this shoe. Starting off in the shoe, like most other Yeezys, a majority of the upper is made up of prime knit. Prime knit is Adidas's proprietary knit technology, and it allows you to have a very comfortable knit upper while still incorporating some cool design details. The feel of the 380 Blue OAT's knit is exactly the same as every other pair of 380s, and also very similar to pairs of 350 V2s. So if you've ever tried on any of those shoes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's soft, relatively flexible, but it's not that stretchy. On the Blue OAT colorway, the knit comes in tonal browns and oranges. The base color seems to be sort of a dark grayish brown, and on top of that you've got a slightly lighter brown, and then the top color seems to be this sort of brownish orange color. And those colors on their own are totally fine. In fact, I don't mind the oranges and the browns together. I think that looks great. The actual pattern of the knit hasn't changed since the 380 Aliens, and it still has that sort of mirrored alien vibe to it, which I actually don't mind. But what really gets me, and probably most other people as well, is the blue mesh that runs down the side of the sneaker. This blue is almost like a light royal blue. It's a very sort of bright pop of color. And the mesh itself is this very sort of glossy plastic that kind of always looks wet, and it also has these punch outs in it that kind of look like eyes or holes that kind of, you know, give you a little bit of tryptophobia. It's a weird look, but when you pair this whole blue sticky side panel thing to the brown and orange upper on the rest of the shoe, it's a weird combination, and one that I really don't like. I just want to clarify that my dislike of this colorway is purely visual. I actually think this shoe is very comfortable and it's put together very nicely, but when you put these two colors together with this sort of material choice, it just honestly, it grosses me out, to be real. Like, it really kind of grosses me out. The YEEZY Boost 380 is already a pretty organic looking sneaker, and this mesh panel on the side of the shoe is great for ventilation, but it really does look kind of odd with all these perforation holes. But when you make it a color that really seems unnatural, it makes this shoe just, I don't know, it just doesn't work for me. Unlike the lateral side of the shoe where the blue stripe comes in a very vibrant blue, on the medial side of the shoe you get a much more toned down stripe because it seems like they've actually woven in some brown prime knit. It definitely dulls down the color of the blue, which I think looks so much better. I just really wish they had done this on the lateral side of the shoe so that it didn't look as insane. But I think I should move on from talking about this blue panel because I don't really have anything good to say about it, and move on to the laces. The laces themselves are rope laces and come in this light tan or sort of light yellow color and weave through the prime knit upper of the shoe. Even though the upper of the shoe is made up of tonal browns and oranges, there aren't really any parts of the shoe that really match these laces. They're just kind of in the brown family, and I guess because of that they sort of work with the shoe, but I would have preferred something that was maybe an orange lace or a blue lace or something that would tie in with the rest of the shoe, no pun intended, a little bit better. Around the top of the sock-like ankle collar, you've actually got this sort of salmon pink colored knit area, which Kind of seems out of left field, but to be fair, I don't find it as offensive as I find the blue. I think it ties in better with the shoe than that weird blue scratch on the side of the sneaker. Inside the sneaker, you've got some nice padding around the heel that also comes in that same sort of salmon pink color. And then the insole of the shoe comes in that same bright royal blue that's found on the side of the sneaker with the Yeezy and Adidas branding printed on the heel in black. As for fit, sizing, and comfort, I'm pretty happy with the way that the 380 fits. For me, it seems to fit true to size. For you, it might be something different. So if you have the chance to try this shoe on first before you buy it, I'd make sure to do that to make sure you're grabbing the right size for you. Personally, I think the 380 is the most comfortable Adidas Yeezy sneaker ever made, and I think there's a lot of quality of life improvements that were made on the 380 that make this shoe a lot more comfortable than the 350 V2. The main change that I appreciated the most is that the toe of the 380 is much wider than the toe of the 350 V2. I'm sure if you've worn the 350 V2 for an extended period of time, you know that after a couple hours your toes start to feel crunched. Well, in the 380, because the toe is wider, you have a lot more room, so they never really feel as squished as they do in the 350 V2s. Another change that I really like on the 380s over the 350 V2s is that they've actually swept up the heel of the shoe, which allows you to walk much more naturally in this shoe than you do in the 350 V2s. The actual feel of the prime knit on the upper is very similar to that of the 350 V2s. It's just as breathable, it's just as relatively soft, and it feels good against your foot. Then moving around to the heel of the shoe, the upper is pretty much the same as it is in the rest of the shoe. You've got your browns, your oranges, your salmon pink, and you've also got a seam running down the center. Then moving down on the sneaker, you get to what I think is the best part of the 380, and that's the full length boost midsole. I don't know for sure, but I feel like the 380 has a little bit more boost in the midsole than the 350 V2, and because of that, it's a little bit softer underfoot. Not only that, but the midsole of the 380 is now a smooth matte finish instead of having that rib texture that the 350 V2s had. Personally, I really prefer this sort of smooth, sculpted look. I think it's much more futuristic and it really cleans up the silhouette. Also, another change that I really like on the heel is that unlike the 350 V2s where the outsole wraps up onto the midsole and kind of looks like a mistake, on the 380s you just have a very clean seam running down the center. Colorway wise, the Blue Oats midsole is fine. It comes in a dark brown semi-translucent rubber. It doesn't look bad, it doesn't look great, it's just kind of there. And that's about it. And then finally rounding off the sneaker, you've got more of that semi-translucent brown rubber on the outsole with cut-throughs to the boost. The Adidas Yeezy 380 Blue Oat, in my opinion, is probably the worst 380, or I guess the worst Yeezy to drop this year. The colorway on this shoe is just so weird, and I can never really see myself wearing this sneaker. It reminds me a lot of the 350 V2 McDonald's wrappers, or what were they called? The frozen something? Frozen yellows? I don't know. But it reminds me a lot of that shoe, and I still don't like that shoe, and I feel like this is going to be the same way where even if I see Kanye rocking this shoe in like this crazy fire fit, I'm still not gonna like it. I'm sure there's gonna be someone in the comments being like, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about, this shoe is fire. And there's always that one person, especially with these crappier colorways, there's always that one person who's like, well, you can't dress, that's why you can't rock it. And that's fair, that's fine, you're right, I'm not like the best dresser in the world, but that does not invalidate my opinion on the colorway. I still think this colorway sucks, and you should too. In all seriousness though, if you like this colorway, that's totally fine. Wear what you like, that's totally your prerogative. This is just my own personal opinion. If you want to grab a pair of these, again, they drop on July 25th for a retail price of $230, and I've left a link to GOAT in the top of the description if you want to check the resale price or grab a pair for yourself. But now I would love to know your thoughts on the Yeezy Boost 380 Blue Oat and whether you plan to grab yourself a pair when they release or whether you're going to let this pair go. So let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I'll see you all in the next one.